everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Batman, the Bat and the Beast. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, Batman, Bat and the Beast is part of the Batman Confidential series. Now, the Batman Confidential series, for those of you that don't know, are Batman stories set usually earlier on in his career and deals with the first of something. The first time Batman uses the Batplane, the first time he goes up against Lex Luthor, the first time Batgirl and Catwoman meet each other, the first of something. And usually that's the themes of the stories, kind of the pull, the attraction for the reader. However, Batman, Bat and the Beast could be the first one out of the Confidential series that I can't find it being the first of anything. Maybe it's the first time Batman went to Moscow, but really that's not a big thing at all. I mean, okay, it's the first of something, but it's not something that really would attract a reader. So, for all intents and purposes, this could be the first story for the Confidential series that really doesn't deal with the first of anything. With that said, let's just jump into the story. The story is pretty plain and simple. Moscow's big gang underworld is controlled by a person who, for lack of a better term, is called the Tsar. He controls all the gangs in Moscow, and he's threatening to activate a nuclear bomb in Moscow and also in Gotham City. He's basically going a little loopy, and he wants to take control of as much power as he can. Now, he's able to keep all these Moscow gang lords in control because of the Bear. Now, the Bear is a individual who has been injected with certain chemicals and drugs to make him huge, like Bane big, like ridiculously jacked and hairy, and they just call him the Bear. Batman catches wind of exactly what this Tsar is doing, and he goes to Moscow to take on this crime lord, this Tsar, this king of the gangs. And he also goes up against the Bear in the process. However, Batman comes up against something that he's never expected. For the first time in Batman's life, he's not the scariest thing around. People in Moscow are more scared of the Bear than they are of the Bat. So, the question is this. Is Batman going to be able to defeat this Bear, ignite the flame of terror in the hearts of the gang of Moscow, and defuse this nuclear bomb, or will everything just go to shit? Well, you're just going to have to read and see. But with that said, we'll get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. Well, one thing I do like about this story is that each character actually feels as though they're important. They don't just feel like some kind of two-dimensional character that's given to us. They all have kind of a motivations, they all have personality, they all have dynamics. I mean, Batman's the main character in this, but he's definitely not the only character. We have the police chief in Moscow, we have the Tsar, we have the Bear, and we have Batman. Those four characters all make up this kind of little drama going on here. And each character is portrayed nicely. Actually, out of all the characters, the police commissioner in Moscow is probably my most favorite character in this story. I mean, obviously Batman is my favorite character, but the Moscow police chief is the one that really stood out to me the most. So all the characters are nicely developed. The comic is also well-paced. I mean, it's a 5-issue long story arc, but I read it in less than an hour. Usually it takes me anywhere between 8 to 15 minutes to read an issue, so you do out the math. So it was a pretty quick read for me, and I got to enjoy it for all it was. You know, sit there, read it, enjoy the art, and that brings me to the next good. The art was, for the most part, very good. The Bear looks a little off at first when you first see him, but you gotta understand that this isn't actually a bear-looking person. This is just a person with a lot of hair on them. So I guess it doesn't actually have to have, you know, the bear muzzle or the ear or anything like that. So the art, for the most part, is pretty good. The women, however, I do have to complain that the women are drawn kind of weird. And Bruce Wayne kind of looks like a really jacked Dick Grayson. But for the most part, the art is good. And I really do like how the story plays out. Bad. The first bad, and probably the biggest bad, is continuity. Where exactly this fits in your Batman timeline, I honestly don't know. If you know where this belongs, tell me. I mean, I tried to use deductive reasoning with, like, certain stuff like Commissioner Gordon being Commissioner and Batman wearing a certain suit, and I've come out to 3 different places that this story can take place. So, how about we just sit and try to figure it out together? Now, say we just go by the suit. This is the same suit Batman wore after No Man's Land. And Commissioner Gordon is, well, Commissioner. So that means one of two areas. This story takes place before Commissioner Gordon retires, so somewhere between Batman Evolution and Batman Officer Down. Or this story takes place 1 year later stories, and Commissioner Gordon becomes Commissioner again. Now, I see it very unlikely as in either two positions. I don't think it would fit in either two of those areas. So, the only logical thing is to say that this takes place sometime earlier on in Batman's career, which seems to be the theme of the Batman Confidential series. So with saying that, again, if I had to guess, I'd probably put it right after King Tut's tomb. Or is it King Tut's tomb? Yeah, I would probably put it after that, after Batman Cat in the Bat. I mean, again, this story I'm not sure where it belongs in the Batman timeline. If you know, if you have an idea, please do comment and let me know, because, you know, helping me would be awesome. So that's probably the first bad. Second bad is, even as well developed as these characters felt, there's a lot of characters in these that just really were thrown at you that really weren't that impermanent. For example, there was a character that was in the sewers and lived in the sewers, and it seems like this character is kind of an interesting character, but he's really used for nothing other than to point out where the Beast lives. That's about it. There's a few other characters that are thrown at you that you just don't seem to care for because, well, they don't get enough time. If you're going to make a Confidential series book that's only going to be like 5 issues long, focus on maybe 3 or 4 characters at most. Don't throw in any other characters randomly in there that aren't going to get any development. It's not going to work out. But that's the only other bad. Whether or not you should get it. What I find interesting about the Confidential series, and I find this with a lot of things, including the Superman Batman series, is it seems to have lost its impact amongst the consumers, amongst the readers. It's not seen as a big comic anymore. So in that, the writers have more freedom on exactly what they can write. They can kind of go into the most extraordinarily outrageous stories. In saying that, I like the fact that the writer did a story that's never been done with Batman before, going to Moscow, going up against the Beast, taking on the Tsar, kind of being out of his element because, well, the Batman's not well known there. And I did like that. Sure, it kind of feels like a certain Batman story over and over again, going up against some kind of monster or something like that, but it has a little different twist on it. I do like the fact that the Confidential series is doing this. They're kind of just, they're taking off the gloves and they're doing whatever the hell they feel like. So, on that, it's an okay book. I would have to say it's one of the better of the Confidential series. Do I think that you should pick it up right away? No. And I don't want to sound like I always give this recommendation for Batman books, but there's going to be 2 people that are going to buy or not buy this book. Now, buy this book if you have all the essential Batman books that you want. If you want to just go out there and get something different, go right ahead. This is a book that you might want to pick up because it is good. However, it is not good enough to say it's essential. So if you're trying to pick up all those essential Batman books, check out my Essential Batman video. It's a little dated, but it still might help you out on what books to get before getting this. However, once you get all the essential books, I do recommend picking this up. It was enjoyable. I think it's one of the better of the Confidential series, and I do think it is worth picking up. It's definitely a B-level book. Not a B+, not a B-, a B. So, it's average. With that said, I'm going to end this review here. Batman, the Bat and the Beast. Give me a chance, you might just enjoy it. This is Andrew saying, peace out.